Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly in your living room, maybe with a cup of tea in hand, wondering when the tone of conversations with your children changed? When did they stop listening to you? When did your words become suggestions instead of guidance? You may not say it out loud, but deep down, it hurts. You've given them everything: your time, your love, your sacrifices. And now, it feels like your opinions carry no weight, like you're invisible in your own family. You're not alone. So many parents feel this shift, especially as they grow older. It's a painful truth that respect doesn't always grow with age. It sometimes fades if we're not careful. And the sting of being dismissed by your own children can cut deeper than almost anything else. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay that way. Respect can be rebuilt, and not through shouting or guilt, but through quiet, steady strength. In this video, we're going to talk heart to heart about what to do when your children no longer treat you with the respect you deserve. This isn't about lecturing them. It's about quietly reclaiming your role, not through conflict, but through wisdom. There are powerful ways to restore dignity, rebuild connection, and most importantly, recenter yourself. Because respect starts with you. Let's begin by talking about one of the most underestimated but powerful ways to regain respect: setting quiet boundaries. As parents, especially when our children were young, we were used to bending ourselves backwards, waking up early, staying up late, working overtime. Whatever it took, we did it without question. And often, even as they grow into adults, we continue that same selfless pattern. We say yes when we want to say no. We give when we feel depleted. We help when no help is returned. But here's the thing. Adults, yes, even our adult children, respect people who respect themselves. When you start setting calm, clear boundaries, you're showing them that your time, energy, and feelings matter. And not with anger or drama, but with calm, consistent behavior. If they come to visit and only talk about themselves without asking how you're doing, gently steer the conversation. If they only call when they need something, try waiting before responding. You don't need to explain or argue. Your behavior teaches them how you deserve to be treated. This shift can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to putting yourself first. But the moment you do, Now let's talk about another often overlooked but incredibly powerful shift. Changing how you speak. Not just what you say, but how you say it. Over the years, we get used to offering advice, guiding, even correcting. And while it comes from love, sometimes it lands the wrong way. Especially with adult children who are trying to prove their independence. But the truth is, people of any age respond better to conversations that invite rather than instruct. Try replacing "you should" with "have you considered" or "why didn't you" with "what do you think would happen if." These may sound like small changes, but they open the door to dialogue, not defensiveness. And when you speak like someone who trusts your child to think, instead of trying to think for them, you give them space to come toward you, not pull away. Remember, respect isn't just about being heard, it's about being received. And often, when we soften our words, we strengthen our message. Your wisdom is valuable, but sometimes it needs to be wrapped in gentleness to be truly felt. Another subtle but deeply effective shift is focusing on your own fulfillment. You see, children, especially adult children, often take emotional cues from their parents. If they see you sad, lonely, or bitter, even if they cause some of it, they may not respond with sympathy. They may pull away even more, either out of guilt or discomfort. But when they see you happy, engaged, and living fully, it surprises them. It earns a new kind of respect. So if you've put your hobbies aside, if you've stopped going out, stopped laughing like you used to, bring that back. Not for anyone else, but for you. Take up the painting class, visit that local park, volunteer, start journaling. Do whatever makes your spirit feel alive again. Because a parent who is growing, glowing, and grounded is someone who naturally commands respect, not with demands, but with presence. It's easy to forget that one of the greatest ways to teach is by example. When your children see you taking care of your own needs, making your own happiness a priority, they're reminded that you're still a person in your own right, not just mom or dad. And slowly, without even saying a word, you shift the balance. They begin to see you with new eyes, not just the parent who raised them, but the human being who still has value, dreams, and strength. This journey of regaining respect doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with these small, powerful choices. Quiet boundaries, thoughtful communication, living with joy and purpose. And with each step, you don't just teach your children how to treat you. You teach yourself that you are still worthy of honor, attention, and care. Sometimes, the hardest thing to accept is that the people we love the most can unintentionally hurt us the deepest, especially when it comes to our own children. They may not mean to speak sharply, dismiss our thoughts, or ignore our feelings, but it happens, and when it does, it leaves behind a quiet ache in the heart. But here's something many people overlook. How we respond to that ache is what determines whether respect grows or continues to fade. One of the most empowering things you can do is to shift from seeking approval to embracing self-worth. You see, we often spend our whole lives trying to make our children happy, bending, adjusting, even staying silent just to avoid conflict. But respect isn't born from silence. It comes from standing quietly in your truth, even when it's not easy. When your children interrupt, talk down to you, or make you feel small, pause. Instead of snapping back or retreating in silence, try saying, "I don't appreciate being spoken to like that." Not with anger, not with tears, just calm and clear. And then pause. Let the silence do the rest. You don't have to defend your feelings, just speak them. Over time, when you consistently respond with quiet confidence, people adjust, they learn. And those who truly care about you, and your children do, even if they forget to show it, will begin to reflect on how they treat you. Your dignity becomes your strength. And believe me, nothing earns respect faster than a calm person who knows their worth and doesn't waver. Another powerful shift comes from letting go of old expectations. This one is tough. As parents, we carry a deep, silent script of how things should be. Our children should call regularly. They should visit more often. They should listen when we speak. They should show appreciation. And when that doesn't happen, it creates not just disappointment, but resentment. We may not say it aloud, but it builds quietly inside. The key isn't to stop caring, it's to release the shoulds, to accept what is, and decide how you want to respond to reality. not fantasy. This doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing yourself from the trap of disappointment. It means choosing peace over silent pain. And, ironically, when you stop demanding respect and instead model peace and emotional independence, you often receive the respect you were longing for all along. This kind of emotional maturity doesn't come overnight, but it's like a muscle. The more you practice letting go of how things should be, the stronger and more peaceful you become. And peace, real peace, is more powerful than any demand or argument. Let's take a... Instead of trying to fix things right away, try asking, how have you been feeling lately? And then really listen. Not to respond, not to correct, just listen. Let them talk, even if what they say surprises or even hurts you a little. When someone feels heard, they soften. Walls start to fall. And in that softening, the possibility for respect and connection returns. You might discover something new, a stress they didn't mention, a pressure they've been carrying, or even resentment they've never voiced. It might sting, yes, but it also gives you a window into their heart. And with that, you can begin to rebuild. Not from blame, but from understanding. Respect is a two-way street, and listening opens the road. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Just a steady, open presence that tells your child, I'm here, I care, I still see you. And one more thing, don't be afraid to rewrite the narrative. Just because things have been a certain way doesn't mean they have to stay that way. If your relationship with your children has been strained, if you felt dismissed or overlooked for years, that doesn't mean healing is impossible. It's never too late to start showing up differently, to be less reactive, to bring more joy into your own life, to let go of guilt and expectations, and live. You see, when you stop placing your sense of worth in how others treat you, and instead start treating yourself with kindness, everything begins to change. You laugh more, you smile more, you walk a little taller, and your children feel that shift. Even if they can't explain it, they sense your energy changing, and slowly, so does their behavior. This is not about trying to control your children's actions. It's about owning your power as a person, not just as a parent. Because you are more than someone's mom or dad. You are a whole human being with wisdom, value, and a voice that matters. And when you begin to believe that again, deeply and truly, the world around you starts to respond in kind, including your children. Sometimes, the journey of being a parent in later life feels like walking through a quiet room full of echoes. Echoes of the past, of laughter, of sacrifices, of years spent nurturing others before yourself. And now, as those once little children stand tall in their own lives, it's not always easy to know where you fit. But let me remind you of something important. Your value didn't vanish with time. Your wisdom didn't fade just because they stopped asking for it. And your heart, your giving, resilient heart, still deserves to be treated with kindness, with attention, and yes, with respect. One of the most effective yet overlooked ways to change how others treat you is to change how you show up. And that means showing up with consistency. When you calmly reinforce your boundaries, when you speak with honesty instead of guilt, when you listen without judgment and live with quiet dignity, but do so consistently, people notice. Respect is not earned in one dramatic moment. It's built slowly, like a steady heartbeat. If your children only reach out when they need money or favors, don't immediately say yes just to keep the peace. Pause, think, ask yourself, is this helping or enabling? And when you say no, kindly but clearly, you're not punishing them. You're teaching them how to value your generosity instead of taking it for granted. Consistency is what turns boundaries into truth. Without it, people forget. With it, they start to grow. Another powerful step in this journey is reconnecting with your own sense of identity. For years, maybe decades, your identity has been wrapped around being a parent. But who were you before that? Who are you now, beyond the roles and the routines? Maybe you used to love music, or reading, or gardening. Maybe you dreamed of writing a memoir, learning a language, traveling someplace quiet and beautiful. Now is not too late. In fact, this chapter of life is a golden one. You have the wisdom of age, the clarity of experience, and perhaps even a little more time to finally honor your voice. And when you do, when you live a life that's not centered around waiting for your children's calls or approval, you become magnetic in a whole new way. People are naturally drawn to those who carry peace, who have a sparkle in their eyes and purpose in their steps, your children included. Think about this. Have you ever seen someone who, despite their age, seems to carry light within them? They laugh without apology. They speak with kindness but don't tolerate nonsense. They walk with grace and self-respect. That could be you. That is you, once you start putting your joy first again. You may be surprised to find that the more you focus on your own life, the more your children begin to respect your time, your energy, and your presence. When you stop waiting for them, they start showing up. Not always right away, but eventually they feel the shift. Because suddenly, they're not the center of your world anymore. And in that gap, they begin to realize how much you truly matter. And finally, perhaps the most powerful shift of all, practice forgiveness. Not just for their mistakes, but for yours too. Parenting doesn't come with a manual. You've done your best. Maybe you were too strict at times. Maybe too soft. Maybe you said things you wish you could take back. But holding on to shame or regret only clouds your heart. Let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more than your mistakes. The same goes for your children. They may have said things that hurt, ignored you, acted selfishly, and yes, those wounds run deep. But forgiveness is not about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself. When you release that heaviness, you make room for healing, for peace, and sometimes even for reconnection. And here's a little secret. Forgiveness is often what reopens doors that seemed permanently closed. When you stop holding on to old arguments or resentments, your energy changes, and so does theirs. Conversations become easier, walls start to come down, and from there, respect can begin to grow again. Let's take a breath together right now. Inhale, exhale. You've come a long way. You're still standing. You're still learning. You're still evolving. That alone deserves admiration. So, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever questioned whether you still matter, let me remind you, you do, and you always will. Respect doesn't come from forcing others to see you. It comes from truly seeing yourself and standing in that light every single day. If any part of this message spoke to your heart, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell your story. Your voice matters more than you know. And if this video gave you a little more strength today, please consider liking it and subscribing to our channel.